Hi guys, thanks for joining us today. I'm with Allison Steife and I'm Rob Williams. And today we're going to talk about choosing the right college for you. So when you're on your college search process, there's things you need to consider, and we're going to walk you through some of those steps. But first we want to do an activity just to get everybody thinking. So if you can take out a blank piece of paper and just jot down 3 or 4 colleges that are interesting to you. Okay, so when you're jotting them down, if you can write down where they're located, maybe some things that you might know about them or things that come to mind, and we will check back in a minute.
Hey everyone, we're back. We just wrapped up an activity that you actually have as an attachment in the email along with the notes from this session. And it's an activity that allows you to start thinking through some of the criteria that's going to be either really important or not so important to you as you start looking at and thinking about what kind of school you want to go to. So once you have done this activity, then we'll roll you through some other resources and options, and Rob's going to walk you through one of those right now.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to share a PowerPoint. All right, so when we're thinking about choosing the right college for you, there are different things you want to keep in mind. And here's just a short list there. This is not an exhaustive list, but some important things are to make sure that the college you're applying to has the right program of study or the major you think you would like. So for example, if you really want to be an electrical engineer, Oregon State University has a great engineering program. So you would want to find schools that kind of match your desire for a career or program that you're wanting to study. And look at their website and see what their engineering program, for example, is and the classes that you might need as prerequisites or things like that. So that was just one example, but make sure that the colleges you're applying to have the major that you want to pursue. Another big one is the location. So do you want to be in a place that has sunshine? Is it a big city? Is it a small city? Is it a big campus? Is it a large campus? Do you want mountains? Do you want the beach? Do you want rural? Do you want urban? I mean, there's so many factors to consider. So when you're thinking of colleges, think about where it's located, how big the university is. Is it a small university in a big city? Is it a big university in a big city? Is it a small school in a rural area? Or maybe it's a big school in a rural area. So there's all these different kinds of options, and every college campus is diverse in that way. So one of the great ways that you can find out or get a better feel for if it's a good fit is to visit the campus. So I can't emphasize this enough. If you do really feel like you're drawn to a school and you're pretty certain you're going to apply, if there's any way that you and your family can visit the campus in person, that is, to me, you can look at a website, you can look at a school's information, for a long time, and often they have fun pictures and it looks really bright and shiny, and you might get to campus and it might look a little bit different, or maybe it's more amazing than you thought it was online. But when you're actually there in person, it gives you a better sense of the learning environment and if you can see yourself living on campus. You also want to look up how many students are there and the acceptance rate, okay? So if you are thinking about applying to a school that only accepts 10% of the applicants, you want to make sure that that's not the only school you're applying to, because right there you're learning only 1 out of 10 people actually get into the school, okay? So you want to pay attention to those. You want to look at tuition and fees. Cost of attendance, COA, is an acronym you might hear in the college application process. So that's the actual price that the school requires for attendance, and then the net price is all the financial aid taken out of that. So if you get scholarships or grants or loans, you would take that out of the net price being the actual cost that you end up paying, you and your family. And there's the FAFSA, which we can go over in financial aid, and other factors that influence those numbers. And so you also want to really pay close attention to application requirements. If you've taken 4 years of English, 4 years of high school science, et cetera, you want to make sure that those high school requirements are matching what they expect freshmen at the university to have achieved, or where they're at. Most or many colleges like to see 2 years of world language. So the more world language that you have on your high school transcript, the better. And so really pay close attention. There's early action deadlines, there's early decision, and then there's regular decision. And often those are scattered at different points. The fall, usually beginning or mid-November, has early action deadlines. And oftentimes the regular deadlines are in January, February, and March are very common. So just pay close attention to what those deadlines are for the schools that you're interested in. And then lastly, and this again is not an exhaustive list, but just some things to be thinking about. Do you agree with the mission of the college or university that you are applying to? So look at their mission statement and just think, am I a good fit? Do I believe in what their mission is? Will I be a good fit for this school? So we're going to go over a couple resources of the college search process tool. One of the best ones is through College Board, which also runs the SAT program, and it's their College Board Big Future website. So I'm going to try to pull that up here. And I think I'm still sharing. So, okay. And so the site looks like this, and you can create an account here, which will also get you into their system, so they can send you reminders about schools and scholarships. Just a fair warning, once you sign into these systems, you will often get lots of mail from universities. They will target you and say, oh my goodness, John Doe signed into College Board, and so we're going to send them information from our Michigan State program. And you might have never heard of this college or university, but you're getting information all of a sudden. So just be aware of that ahead of time. It's also good to, we'll talk about this in a little bit, set up a specific email account that is specifically for the college application and the college search process. Okay, so something that's professional, that doesn't have kind of funny names, or it's just kind of maybe your formal first and last name, or first name, middle initial at Gmail, or something that's professional, where if you're talking with a college rep or an admissions officer, they're going to take you seriously if you respond to them. And speaking of that, responding to them, and if you do visit or talk with somebody on the phone, sending them a thank you note afterwards, or a thank you email, just expressing your interest and thanking them for their time, is a great way to go above and beyond. Okay, so this is a great search tool. I won't do all of it, but just kind of introduce you to exploring. And this is the college search step-by-step on College Board. So you're looking at different kinds of colleges, it says in the beginning, and it's lots of different tabs here. So you can say, what kind of college is most important to you? If you're not sure, leave it there. Or is the kind of college important to you? Somewhat or very. Okay, so I'll say somewhat for this example. Maybe I'm looking at a 4-year university, so I check that box, and then I'm going to go over to the next tab, and then I'm going to look at location. Okay, so maybe I'm saying yes, location is very important to me, and currently I'm in Bend, Oregon, so I'm going to say I want to be, let's say, I don't want to be on the East Coast, but I could go out of the state, and I'm going to put my zip code in here. We'll see what happens there. Okay, and then I go to the next tab here. Campus setting. Do I want to be at a smaller community or a larger community? Do I want to be around lots of different types of people? Do I want sports? Do you want those big football games and the sporting events, or do you not really care about that? So we'll say, I don't know, I'm not sure. And so here you have the option of choosing small campus sizes, a medium, or a large. Large here is noted as more than 15,000, which lots of state schools, that's pretty common. Like, for example, in Oregon, University of Oregon and Oregon State, I believe, have about 25 to 30,000 students. So big schools, lots of big sporting events and on-campus activities. So maybe I'll say I'm interested in a medium-sized school. For this is 2 to 15,000. Okay, costs. So financial aid and how much my family can afford. This is a big question, right? And it's often a family decision, okay? So I'm going to say, yeah, I think that's really important, but I'm not going to say that's the only thing limiting me from a college, because you never know. Sometimes more expensive colleges also offer really generous financial aid packages. So we'll see what they say. Okay, majors. I'm going to say my major is really important because going back to that initial example, I want to study electrical engineering, and I've heard Oregon State has a good program, but I'm interested in other engineering schools. Okay, so you want to choose that or whatever is applicable to your situation, your learning environment. Do you want to be part of small group discussions? Do you want smaller class sizes? That's another good statistic to look at on college websites is the student to faculty ratio. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how many people are going to be in your class per professor. Sometimes if you go to bigger state schools, they might have a lecture hall with hundreds of people in your class. Sometimes at smaller schools, they max out at 30 to 45 students per class. And then in upper division classes, you might be in a class with 10 people or a really small environment. So it just depends on what you want. I'm going to say this is somewhat important to me. Okay, so here we go, my college snapshot. So based on what I entered here, I'm going to find colleges. Let's see what it comes up with. All right, so we have a huge list here of colleges that fit my preferences. So from here, and look at this, it actually gives you a percentage of how closely it matched with your preferences. So I have lots of 100% matches, right? I've got tons. So this is just one example of an idea of searching for colleges and getting an idea of different schools. All right, these are all going to be, looks like mostly the Pacific Northwest, because I didn't say I wanted to go beyond, I think, 400 miles away. So it just depends on your settings and your preferences and your college search process. So we won't go through this exhaustively. I really like that word exhaustively today. But this is kind of just walking you through that college search process with the variety of college search tools out there. And I do know that College Board is a great tool and a free tool. And yeah, so I'll let Allison share with you another search tool.
And a few other notes as you're using this one too. If you feel like, oh wait, I think I want to tweak my answers a little bit, you don't have to start all the way over. If you look at this column off to your left, there's going to be all those questions that you answered, and you can tweak them if you want and see, oh, if I tweak this, what other colleges pop up? Because so for Rob, he got 21 results, and if you're like, that's not enough, or that's too many, you can narrow things down by continuing to shift the answers to questions in this column. For example, Rob said his major was really important to him when he was filling this out, but I don't think he had to fill out exactly what major he wanted. So if you click over on this tab, you can then select more specifically what majors you want and other kind of academic opportunities that you're looking for. And so continue to play with this. There are a lot of different ways you can, like I said, either expand the options that it's giving you or continue to narrow them down. So
awesome.
We hope you enjoy that one, and we're actually going to give you a few minutes to use it and explore, and then we will come back and show you a few more resources. So enjoy that. All right, we are back. Hopefully you spent some time using that resource. It really is, in a lot of ways, the most all-encompassing one. College Board, just in general, is a really wonderful tool to use. So don't limit yourself just to that aspect of that website. Continue to browse it. And we are also going to show you a few other resources that can supplement that resource really well. So I will share the PowerPoint with you, or you can pull it up yourself and even click along with some of the links that we're going to use as we go. So the next resource is College Greenlight, and this is an opportunity to do something similar to input some of that criteria as well as some of your own information, like what's your GPA, and if you already have your SAT or ACT scores, you can plug things like that in. And so there's a little more info that you can input other than just what you're looking for. And it will create, really similarly, a college list for you with some options that might not only match the criteria of a college you're looking for, but also match things like your GPA or your SAT score. It will actually show you how strong a match you might be for some of those. Don't hold hard and fast to what it's telling you necessarily. You know, if it feels like it's a reach school, but you're excited about it, don't rule it out. Keep it on there, but it'll just give you kind of some more ideas. And then another element of this resource is its access to scholarships. So there's a tab up at the top that will say colleges, and that's where you can find the colleges that you might have matched with. And then there's a tab as well for scholarships, and it will give you lots of options for things that you can start looking through that might apply to you. So hopefully this resource can take some stress out of the college search as well as the scholarship search, kind of all in one. So wonderful tool to use. Overgrad is something that your counselor here at Baker might want you to use. It helps them keep tabs on which schools you're interested in and whether you might be a good match for them. So it does something similar to what College Greenlight does, but is really honed in on this idea of, is it a good match for you based on your performance in high school so far? And we know that your performance might change a little bit more as you go on. So you can update it as you go. If you retake the SAT, put your new SAT score in. And so this resource is not so much a way to find colleges, but a way to find out if the colleges that you might have found through other resources or your own search are a good fit. And so you'll actually select your own colleges rather than having it select some for you. And you'll input all that info about yourself, about your academic performance, all that stuff. And then it's going to come up with this. So you can see this screenshot here to give you an idea. It's going to give you some info on the averages for those schools. What's their kind of average SAT score? What's their average GPA that they're kind of looking for? And then other info too, like how rigorous is that school academically, and what's the cost, and how many students that go to that school actually graduate with their degree. So some other cool info that it gives you. And then you'll see on the far left, there are some options that will pop up that then compares their averages to your averages, and you can see, is it a reach school? Is it a match? And that's just good for you to know, kind of like Rob was saying, like for the schools that only accept 1 out of 10, we should be applying to more than just that one. And same for your reach schools. This by no means should have you believe that you shouldn't apply for your reach school, or you're not going to get in, or you don't have a shot. It just means that this is a tough school to get into, and you should apply to other ones too. We've had students in the past, Baker students, who have gotten into schools that it said reach on Overgrad for. So please know that. Don't get discouraged if you see that your number one choice is a reach. That just means that you should keep listening to the seminar series as this term goes on to learn how to make your application really, really wonderful and really stand out. So hopefully that gives you some incentive to stick with us and stick with your process rather than discourage you. You've got it. And then the last resource that we want to show you here is called UStrive. And it's actually, again, a little different. It's not how can you find the best college for you and getting matched with a school. It's actually about getting matched with a mentor. So if you're already starting to feel a little overwhelmed by this process and you would really like some continued one-on-one attention, kind of at the touch of your fingers, this can be a great resource for you. So it connects you with a mentor to guide you through the application process, anywhere from finding it, the schools, to writing the essays, to financial aid. we're going to walk you through all that stuff. You have support people through Baker who will walk you through that stuff. But this is just an additional resource. They're usually available to, as you can see, like they do a lot of kind of quick chats, just like, hey, I have this quick question. And it can be a good resource if you're feeling like you really just want some of that really intensive one-on-one mentorship as you go through this process. So we wanted to share that with you now, but also know that we're going to walk you through it as well. So just have it in the back of your mind as we're going along. If you keep thinking, I want more, you can get it. I love this note on here too. 90% of students who sign up with UStrive go on to attend a four-year institution, usually with low or no debt. And so what I think that means is not just UStrive people, but students who are actively working with somebody to go through this process are much more likely to get into the schools they want to get into and attend that program or that university that they want to, with things like financial aid set up and ready to go. So whether that gives you incentive to head to UStrive and use this, or stick with us and reach out to your support people through Baker, either way, I just want to encourage you to use the people in your life to get where you want to go, because we are cheering you on and supporting you and here for whatever you need. So those are the resources we have for you today.
One last thing to highlight is just the common application. So this is a application that includes more than 800 colleges across the US. So if you want to start checking that out, you can also search for colleges on their site. And this might be for somebody who's interested in applying maybe 10 to 12 different schools. This is a good resource. They have application waivers, so you can just pay one fee for your applications, and it's tracking all the different parts of each of the applications for the different schools you're applying to. So it's a great resource. So there's that tool for you there. And just a couple things to leave with you. Oh, here's another couple resources. College Insight. We had more than I thought. There's one there. And then there's just some final notes here. Just an encouragement to engage with the college or university that you are interested in. Okay, so visiting their website, call their admissions office and their financial aid office, go take a campus tour, send a thank you note, either a thank you email, or if you want to go above and beyond, a handwritten thank you card is always going to stand out. And maybe express what you liked about the college, that they had a beautiful campus, or you really felt like you could see yourself living there, and you really, I don't know, maybe you met somebody from the department you're interested in, and you're like, oh, I talked with Professor so-and-so, and this really feels like it could be a good fit. So the more personal connections you can make, trust me, they make notes behind the scenes, and they'll make a note that you took that extra effort. So join college university mailing lists. Make sure to get the latest and greatest. Attend their preview days. If you can, when you visit, stay overnight. Stay in the residence halls. Get an idea of what it's like to live on campus. And talk to your friends and family, or anybody that you currently know who attends that school, and ask them what it's like going to school there, the pros and the cons. And yeah, those are good ideas for ways to get involved. So thanks again for your time, everybody. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Allison, myself, or Jen Tracewell. My email is rwilliams@bakercharters.org. Allison is ASTYFFE@bakercharters.org. And Jen Tracewell is JTracewell, CRACEWELL @bakercharters.org. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.